Welcome back to the channel. My name is Samuel Barlas. Here we talk about networking and cybersecurity. First of all, opinions expressed in this video are mine and don't necessarily reflect my opinions of any of my past, present, or future employers. So with that, I'll go ahead and jump right into the NSE Cert updates from Fortinet. So effective October 1st, they're going to change the way that the certifications work. And I've noticed that quite a few professionals in the industry who either have certifications, are looking to get certifications, or maybe are actively in the process of getting one. I was talking to one guy and he's like, I'm actively, pursuing this cert. Should I stop? And so I'm hoping to answer some of those questions and clear up some of that confusion here. So we're going to have some major updates that really are, moving away from a numbered kind of tiered model to more of the industry standard of, having more of a relation and order in relation to job titles and job roles, right? So you'll see the details, and we'll go through a few of the details here. Now, all these different levels, right? I've got them on the board. I'm going to go over them in a brief perspective, and then we're going to jump in and dig into a couple of the ones that aren't so cut dry here in just a second. So jump over to the whiteboard. So starting from the top, the FCX is really the NSE 8 if you're familiar. If you're not familiar with Fortinet certifications, right, the NSE 8 is like the certification. So, that's one of those ones you got to sit down, you got to take I think it's like is it a 12-hour practical or something like that? It's a beast, right? You're going to take a considerable amount of time. If you see someone with an NSE 8, they've spent a lot of time studying and understanding the fundamentals of cybersecurity, right? Whereas we go down, these ones are going to be a little more complex here in terms of the different types of certifications. Really, this is uh, basically the NSE 7. There's some different changes here, and we'll talk about those. The FCP is actually two certs. The NSE 4 is one of them, and you can get an additional one. You don't have to have the NSE 4. And we'll talk about that. We'll go into that detail depending on which FCP you go for. The FCA is new, so I'm not really sure how this is going to fit in. I think the idea is taking the NSE 4 and focusing more on the whole solution, cybersecurity in general, from a base technical perspective, kind of like Cisco did about 4 years ago with the CCNA, where they went from that deep routing and switching to, okay, well, yes, we need to talk about routing and switching, but let's talk about wireless, let's talk about firewalls, let's talk about endpoint security. And I think that's where the FCA is going, where it's like, yeah, we're going to still focus on firewalls, and that's going to be maybe half of our content, but we're going to focus on, okay, what about secure switching, secure wireless, what about endpoint security, right? Those kind of other things that are really helpful to integrators and users of our cybersecurity solutions at Fortinet. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that fits in and how we use it as an organization. So the FCF is really going to be kind of awareness and in general cybersecurity knowledge, right? I think this is going to replace the NSE 1 and 2. All right, so what is phishing? What is cybersecurity? Why is it important? Here's some general information so that you can have a baseline. This can be helpful for people in kind of more of high-level management roles. They're not digging in the nitty-gritty. They don't need to know how firewalls handle TCP sessions and how we offload to ASIC and whether it's in proxy mode or flow mode. All that nitty-gritty detail doesn't really need to be known at a high level. So it's kind of more of the high-level information here, kind of at the FCF. So with that, I'm going to jump in a little bit and dig in a little bit more to a few of the certifications. So this is the FCP, and I'm not sharing my screen, so that'd be helpful. So you'll see here that the NSE 4 FortiOS is required for the network security. It is available as one of the certs for either the Security Ops or public cloud, but is not required. So in this case, you have to have the NSE 4, and then you'll take one of these exams as well. Now, these exams are not changing, right? So if you're studying for a current exam, you're studying for your NSE 4 today, the exam's going to stay the same. You're still going to achieve getting the exam. But then in order to get one of these certifications, you have to complete, add maybe the Fortinet exam, maybe add the FortiEDR exam to go and get the FCP Security Ops, right? So Security Ops is going to be more of a SOC certification, like a SOC analyst. Public Cloud Security, right, for like more of a security analyst. And then, of course, network security, right, kind of what most of us are familiar with, kind of the traditional firewall, NAC, switching, and that kind of stuff. Jumping on to the Certified Engineer FCE. Really, most of them are going to be just directly aligned to NSE 7s, like Zero Trust if you're dealing with NAC and remote access, OT security, public cloud, right? Again, there's a cloud option. Advanced analytics, so that's really like SIM when you dig into it. It's really advanced SIM. And then, of course, the network security, which is going to require 2 exams, one of which is the enterprise firewall, which I've heard is kind of one of the most difficult NSE 7s. And then, in addition to that, either LAN Edge, which covers wireless and switching, or the SD-WAN. I'm not familiar with the Network Security Support Engineer cert. I think that might be new, because I don't think I've seen that one yet. But personally, I think that you'll see a lot of people go for the FCEs that are not network security, just because not only having 2 exams, but requiring the enterprise firewall, which I've been studying for it, is a really tough exam. There's a lot of content in there. There's a lot of nuances and digging through the packet flow in the CLI and really digging deep into how ASIC offloading works and all the nitty-gritty details there, dealing with ADVPN and some pretty detailed IPsec stuff. So with that depth, as well as having to have a second exam on top of it, I think is going to be really tough for people to choose if they want to go get the FCE certification, unless they really do a lot of work with firewalls. They really do a lot of stuff on the network side. I like a challenge, so I'm going to try it, and you'll have to look out for that alert to see if I pass the exam. So that's on my agenda shortly. We'll see. I hope I pass it, but now that I said this. Anyway, that's all I've got for the NSE certification update. Let me know if this is helpful. If there was any other information you'd like me to include in the future, just drop down in the comments. Feel free to reach out. But I hope this has been informative. I hope it's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.